Hi, it's Dr. Spears with drpremed.com, and I have something that's really going to kind of blow your mind, and it's going to be a game changer for you in all of your academics and all of your standardized tests. So if you need a way to improve on taking tests at any level, whether it's in the classroom or standardized high stakes exam, then you definitely want to pay attention, because what I have for you is going to be a game changer. GPAs are going to go up, test scores are going to move into some of the highest percentiles possible. And I just want to share with you this strategy and tip that you actually can start using right away, and it shouldn't hurt you, because sometimes when you guys get new like test taking strategies or tips, your scores actually might go down a little bit because you're just not used to studying or taking the test in this new format, and that kind of just happens. But then once you get acclimated to it, your scores should kind of skyrocket or just start trending upward. But what I have for you today is actually going to be something that's totally different. You should see the effects of this right away. And so I want to really focus this more towards if you're taking like a test under time conditions and everything like that. You're going to just see how this can make a huge difference for you. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So let's say you're taking the MCAT, or even if you're a med student, you're taking one of your board exams. This is what you want to do. You want to get in there and you want to open up your test. Most likely it's going to be electronic, and you want to go look at the test questions. And what you want to do is you want to hurry up and go through that question, and you have to make a split-second decision. Is this something that you know? If it's something that you know, go ahead and work your way through solving the problem. If it's something that you're kind of on the fence, or you know you're going to have to think about, then skip the answer and go on to the next question. And then you're going to do that same process for all the questions and whatever problem set or exam that you're working on. You want to do a first run through, and you're going to go and you're going to just answer everything that you know. This is like the things that it's just on instinct right there. You memorize this, and as soon as you look at it, you know what the answer is. You're going to boom, get it in, get it filled out, and then move on. And now, if you don't know something, what do people normally tell you? And again, this is for like multiple choice exam. What's the common theme, or what everybody says? They're like, don't leave an answer choice blank. Just put something on the test, so you have something there just in case you run out of time. With this strategy, you're not going to just fill in, like some people like, oh, always use option C or whatever. Do not do that. Just leave it blank for this first run through. The reason being is you're going to do a second run through, and then the second run through is you're going to go and you're going to start answering all of your blank unfilled answer choices. And this means you have a little bit more time to work on those problems. And here's why you don't actually just have a answer choice put in there as like a placeholder, because the human mind, and when you're taking a test, it's really, really hard for you to go and erase an answer choice that you already marked on the exam. So if you just randomly put C, D, E, or whatever on there, thinking, oh, it's just a placeholder, I'm going to come back and then go through it again, that's just not good for you, just from a mental processing standpoint and some of the psychology at play. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to leave it blank for that second time run through. And then on the second time run through, you're also only coming to the questions that you left blank or marked. You do not go back and reevaluate the questions that you already put an answer down, because you're going to start second guessing yourself, and typically your gut instinct is always going to be more likely to be correct. The more time that you fool around with a question, spend some time thinking about it, you're going to start reading into things, and then you're going to start talking yourself out of the correct answer. And you don't want to do that, because you got to get as many points as possible. And along that process of getting as many points as possible, you also need to know when to cut your losses, because these exams are timed. And so if it's a timed exam, every question has the same amount of points. You're not getting more points because you put more effort or time into a difficult question. And actually, that can actually hurt your overall score. Let's say that you spend too much time on one question because you're like, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right. But you know what? If you're spending a lot of time on a question and you struggle through it, you're more likely to get it wrong, and then it's going to be at the end of the test, and there's going to be like 5 questions that it should have been gimme easy points for you, but you're going to just have to mark something because the clock's ticking down and you're running out of time. Now imagine that. You spent all this time on this one question, and then you most likely got it wrong, and now you missed 3 or 4 easy questions on your exam at the end of the block because you were working on that hard question you got wrong. So you need to know how to cut your losses. And just think about that. If there's multiple sections of a test or exam and you're doing this process where you're missing 3 or 4 questions at the end just because you ran out of time, and then you're also missing that hard one, that's not good for you. It's really going to hurt your chances, and that's why people fail exams or they come significantly below like the class average or like the mean score that everybody has on exam. And if you follow the strategy, which I'm telling you about, that's not going to happen for you. Another thing you need to be aware about when you're taking these exams is cutting your losses. You can't walk into the test thinking, I have to know 100% of everything that's on this test. That's not what it's about. It's about getting as many points possible and knowing when to cut your losses and say, you know what, this isn't working. I'm not going to get this. So I'm going to just move on, put an answer choice down and move on. And don't worry about it. And just say, hey, I did what I could. And another reason why, so I'm going to turn over to a different point about doing that first run through the exam. A lot of times students are very nervous. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what questions are going to appear on their tests. So if you do this first run through of the exam and then everything that you know automatic, you fill out, you mark, and then the stuff that's going to be iffy or you just know you need a little bit more time to work your way through the problem, most likely you'll get the answer choice. Here's what's going to happen. Subconsciously, in the back of your mind, you might start thinking about some of those questions that were going to be a little bit more difficult for you on your second run through. And so that means when you're coming back a second time, you kind of had some time to think about what's going on, what questions are actually being asked of you, and it's not going to be that shock value where you're seeing a question for the first time because you glanced over it and you have a working idea of what's going on. Because just imagine if you're taking a test and you're going question by question, working through it, not knowing what the next question is going to be. But here's a different strategy that you can employ where you're going to go question by question, get what you can, and if you don't know it, just move on, and then you're going to do a second round. And on the second round, you're only coming back to the questions that you left blank. And that's how you're going to move up and get higher scores and do well on your exams. You're really not doing too much change with your studying. This is just an actual test-taking strategy and tip. And here's what I want you to know. When you're taking a test, there's really 2 things at play. One thing is 50% of most exams are purely based on your knowledge. That's half the game. Did you study? Did you come to class? Did you prepare well in advance for it where you actually know what's being tested? And then the second half of it, the other 50%, that's actually test-taking strategies and skills like I just shared with you now. That's something that you can implement and see a huge difference in your score, because oftentimes students are like, I put in all this work, I did all this studying, and my score isn't improving, or they're just constantly not at a level where they think they should be at. And if you're working hard and you feel you know the material and you're just not able to apply it, then that really comes down to a matter of where it's starting to fall into the realm of test taking. And I wanted to share this tip with you because that can actually help you out and you can start seeing improvement on that. And there's just so much more involved with this process of how you can really boost your scores and do well. So this is something that I want you to try out, and if you've tried it out, let me know how it went for you, because I'm really interested and curious to see what type of difference it's going to have for you. And I know it's new. Somebody's probably told you always put an answer choice down and always go back and recheck your work. Don't recheck your work, because you need to be confident in yourself that you worked your way through the problem, and to the best of your knowledge you have the best answer choice that's possible. Now, if you're actually doing a test and then you clearly have an insight that's not a guess, that's not something that's vague, but you know, above 90, 95, 100%, oh, that was a key piece of information that I needed, or I just forgot because you were flustered under pressure. Only in those circumstances do you actually go back and change your answer choices on a question. But otherwise, I don't expect to see you making any changes to your answers once you actually fill it in. Okay, so go ahead, use a strategy. It works across the board for multiple choice exams, and you're going to really see good things happen with your scores. Take care.